Well, hello everyone, and welcome to a special edition of our educational series. Today, we're here with Steve Kushner, and we're going to talk about EllieMD's new product launch, which is the EllieVate Skin Plus Topical Rejuvenating Serum. We're going to go over what makes this formula so special and what the benefits are all about, the ingredients. We're going to talk about the formulation, and we brought the expert himself on this call. But before I go there, let me introduce you all to Steve Kushner. Let me give you a little background on him. Steve Kushner has been a formulation chemist for the nutraceutical and cosmeceutical industry for over 35 years. He specializes in full service R&D, formulation and development of finished products. Over the years, he's developed and tested over 100 products that have been brought to market. Additionally, he's co-authored a ton of articles in peer-reviewed journals, including Journal of American College of Nutrition, the American Journal of Biomedical Science and Research, and so on. Tons of peer-reviewed journals. Mr. Kushner has also had products that have been featured in major retail stores and chains, including GNC, The Vitamin Shop, Rite Aid, direct-to-consumer and infomercial, as well as many other channels, medical channels, including that. So with that said, Steve, I'd like to pass this on to you to give us a little background on yourself and tell us what brought you to this industry, what you do, and then we'll get started on the absorption technology. So
Okay, well, thank you very much, and good afternoon to everyone, and thank you for joining us. Obviously, will be time for questions as we move along, whatever piques your interest. So, my background is I started to get interested in natural healing way back when I was a teenager. I don't know why, but I was around some people, family members that weren't very healthy, and I decided that that wasn't going to be me. So I got into the exercise thing and then really just took off and started studying alternative methods of healing, which what now called natural healing. And I was fortunate enough over the years, in the early years, to study with some very great healers in the United States, naturopaths, yogis, and a particular woman out in New Mexico who was a pioneering nutritionist and healer. She lived to the age of 106, and she was still taking cases into her 90s and late 90s, and was known worldwide. So I used a lot of her concepts and arts that she had developed. But I started to move away from the natural healing and got more interested in um, doing research, because while what she did was great, she helped one person at a time. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but I was interested in doing it on a larger scale. So I got much more involved in the research and development and looking at how different products, be they oral or topical, could make differences in people's lives beyond just, hey, take some vitamin C for your cold. Obviously, there's a lot more to it. About several years ago, well over a decade ago, I was challenged by somebody I knew in business who said, can you make supplements work like drugs? And I said, no. And I kind of left it at that. I thought, well, I don't want to be flippant. So I thought, well, there's maybe a way to make it better, because he said the one biggest challenge to people using nutritional supplements is they don't work fast enough. So we started working on different forms of delivery technologies. And I would say that a very, very long story short, it's been tweaked. There's been several iterations, several testings, and have developed, I think, is an extremely novel delivery technology that's featured in virtually anything we do that's either oral or topical. So a couple things. The technology is natural.
well, we'll
It's
get
all
there, Steve. Let me just give them a preview first of the skincare,
okay.
then we'll get into the technology,
No, no, I will. Okay, I got it.
absorption technology.
Yeah, so the
Um,
absorption technology. So
yes,
that's what leads into everything we do now.
exactly. Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Steve. Thank you for helping. And I met Steve and I was like, it just, so let's go to the next slide. Let's talk to you guys about this formulation because it's really, really special. And Steve knows this and understands this. And this kind of segues into how we met. Um, I've spent some time in skincare as well, not as long as Steve has, but I've been in this world for a long time. And the challenge really was you have formulation chemistry of skincare products. It's an art and it's a science. And then on the other side, you have prescription grade medical medicated ingredients. A lot of them come through compounding pharmacies. Some are available through generic products that are, you get it at your local pharmacy. But there's not a lot of art in that. It's very, generic products. And Steve, feel free to chime in. So my challenge was, well, the question I asked, how do we bring these two worlds together? The art of skincare, and there's some incredible ingredients out there I've talked about. They're sourced from all different parts of the world, from Italy to France, and they have clinical studies to back them. But then on the other side, you have prescription grade products that are very efficacious, even more so, and they treat, they cure, and so forth. So I was like, that was the challenge. How do I bring these two worlds together? And then I met Steve and I was like, Steve, how do we do this? And then we brought our compounding pharmacy owner into the mix, and it was just like a game changer. No one's done what we're doing right now, which is pretty incredible, marrying the world of beauty and skincare with the world of prescription grade efficacious products. So that's where it started. And then Steve told me, well, that's great, but a lot of skincare just sits topically. And it doesn't penetrate through the skin. You need the absorption technology. And Steve, maybe you could talk about how you developed this absorption technology, and we could go into details on it.
Sure. Well, again, we started with a specific idea in mind, where we were looking at ways to take carriers that would help transport or ferry nutrients across membranes, be they skin or mucosal membranes in the gut. And again, this was many, many years. We tested things on human skin tissue cultures, animals, and I will say that everything we did on animals was safe and non-harmful. And then we did a lot of human testing too. Um, some of this came from some of the more esoteric things that I learned over the years, and then it's kind of funny. It's what you said, honey. It was that mixed with the pure science of way things work, and we're fortunate enough to be able to create this technology that, and I'll just use the term now. It's been compared to something called iontophoresis or electroporation. But we don't need machines where those technologies require a device, an external device to be attached to the skin. We do not. We have a self-contained technology. And in essence, we're creating a mild electrical charge. You can't feel it, but it's there. And it opens up ion channels on the skin temporarily and allows things to pass through. It's very quick. It doesn't hold up and make your skin open for any length of time, but it does continue on deeper into the skin too. So, as Hani mentioned, this isn't just about getting something through the surface, but we're creating the ability to get it deeper into the epidermis and the dermis tissues. And the interesting part about it too is because it's self-contained, it works with every ingredient in any particular formulation. And just to add one thing on what you said, Hani, the idea of the science side is amazing. The prescription drug, they have amazing ingredients, but they tend to use one or two things at a time, and it does one or two things. Where on the other side, they use a number of nutrients or compounds that support and do other things, but they don't necessarily get to the heart of the matter. So our combining these two things with our technology that allows the material to get in synergistically all at the same time and create this amazing response below the skin. And the last thing I'll add is because there is this electrical nature, which is a negative electrical charge within the technology, it actually has its own benefits to all the tissues around the skin, and it helps to improve oxygenation. It helps to improve blood flow. So you're not only exposing the dermal cells to all these beneficial ingredients, but you're bringing oxygen and nutrients in to affect the healing that the compounds are beginning to stimulate.
And Steve, maybe you could touch on how this is not systematic, right? So with for example DMSO or other technologies that are
Right.
available to penetrate ingredients through the skin, it becomes systematic, whereas this becomes localized. And what that means is you get those ingredients into that region and you get the effects that you want without it having an overall systematic effect. Maybe you could touch on that and
Sure,
how.
it's a great example. So DMSO, I think most people know what it is. It's a form of sulfur, and it absolutely creates absorption, and it will be systemic, but it's like hitting the skin with a sledgehammer, and it goes wherever it goes. There's no control over it. What's very interesting about our technology that we've set out to do, as well as we've learned how it works over the years, is it allows the compounds to get in and then creates kind of a cascade of effects. So we can create a localized or systemic response, but it's not reliant on the compounds. It's reliant on turning on the body. It's kind of like using exosomes or other things like that provide direction for the body to work and heal itself. Um, it, I don't. Do you want me to go into the slide that's on here right now?
Yeah, why don't you maybe Brenda, if you could go to the previous slide, can you explain what this is? Ooh, the one after.
Yeah,
I don't have control over.
that's okay. So we did some testing at a facility in New England that makes their own human skin tissue culture. This was done because we were trying to see if we could get PRP through the skin, which is platelet-rich plasma, which in theory can't go through the skin. And this was actually this slide here, this cutaway slide of the skin tissue was the top is just untreated skin, and that's the epidermis and then the stratum corneum on the top. As soon as it got hit with just the technology alone, you can see that it opened up the stratum corneum, it loosened it. It was creating kind of a negative polarity to open it up. And so that's the beginning of what allows the absorption to take place. Then if you go to the next slide. All right, so this is was interesting. Now, I was challenged, can you get PRP through the skin? And I said, maybe. And then everybody said, no, you can't. PRP is a platelet-rich plasma, which has been used for years and years for both uh, arthritic healing as well as skin care. They use it for hair care as well. It's kind of hard to see here, but we tested if we could get platelets through the skin, and at a 4 hour mark, we had several platelets that had passed through the skin and reached the basal cell membrane. And all those red lines are showing where there are platelets resting at the bottom of the basal cell membrane. So we proved we could get something that was generally too big to get through the skin, and it stayed intact and created a physiologic effect within 4 hours.
Maybe we could touch on this is a good time to touch on the 500 Dalton rule, where the skin, the maximum absorption of the skin typically is around 500 Daltons. But with your technology, we are able to absorb up to 1,000 kilodaltons, right? No, I'm sorry, 1,000 kilodaltons, which is a million.
Right?
Daltons. I get this one
Yep.
up.
You're
Which
right.
is
You're
up
right.
to a million Daltons. And just to give you guys some of you are using you're using GLP-1s, those are around 4 to 5,000 Daltons. So imagine if you were to put GLP-1s on your skin, you wouldn't be able to absorb it. However, with this technology, you can absorb it through your skin. So this is huge. This is a game changer, guys. Like I don't think anyone realizes what a big deal this is. And Steve has been published. Maybe you could talk about the publications and where you have been featured with this technology.
Sure, but I'll go back real quick to what you said just to
Of
clarify,
course.
and you were exactly right on the size. The skin is a very strong barrier, and so it's meant to not let things get through. And again, like I mentioned before, some of the devices that can get something in at around 10,000 Daltons or 10 kilodaltons. We've done the testing on the skin tissue, so it wasn't us doing it. We had some very, very high-end testing done and got about, we were using hyaluronic acid at 1.3 million Daltons, and we got that through the skin intact as compared to without using the technology. So we know we can get pretty much everything through the skin. We also, as I mentioned, we do use the technology in oral products too, because again, it helps the absorption and the utilization. So we have a multi-nutrient liquid supplement that we studied, a weight loss sublingual that would dissolve in your mouth. an enzyme supplement. We did a lot of studies on these and have been published and also featured on poster presentations at medical or scientific conferences, the Federation of the American Societies of Experimental Biology. We've been there a couple of times, one in Harvard, one in San Diego. We actually have an opinion letter in the Nature Springer Journal on what we've done. We've been fortunate enough to get an article in the Journal of the Royal Society of Chemistry, which has been around, I think, since 1920. So we've gotten a lot of publications. And then on the topical side, we've done studies where we've gotten it in, and you mentioned a couple of those journals before, where we've tested some other formulations, which I won't go into yet, but we were able to create some pretty remarkable results. And I will say that if we tweak the technology a bit, we can create a stronger systemic effect. And again, it's not like we're shoving something all the way into the body, but we're creating a cascade of events. And we've done a study and proved it works on dogs, because obviously there's no placebo effect on dogs, but we saw some really incredible changes in the health of dogs by using a topical supplement.
That's incredible. Well, all this to say, when I first met Steve, I was like, Steve, this is huge because you have these peptides that are really, really big in size that we can't get through the dermis, but through your technology, we can. This is going to be a game changer in the industry. And so that's where this collaboration started. And maybe go to the next slide, Brenda. Let's touch on some of these other studies that you did on HCG. I guess HCG is 36,000 Daltons, and you guys were able to prove that HCG also penetrates in through the skin. So these are long-chain amino acids that are hard to get through, but you can. So I had a question for you, Steve, and maybe you can answer this because I'm sure I'm not the only one. I'm like, well, if you get these molecules that are penetrating through the skin, how about the harmful stuff, right? How about toxins? If I apply this, would the toxins also get through the skin? And you said no. Please explain to everyone how and why.
Well, so if you were to mix this with a toxin, in theory, it could get it through the skin, but obviously we don't do that. And when we do our formulations, everything is tested, it's clean. We're very careful about following CGMP rules. The reason it doesn't do anything is because it is a very, very quick reaction. So if you had something on your skin, it's not likely to take it through anyway. Nobody has anything that toxic on their skin. But it opens up the channel, allows the material to go through, and it closes just that quickly. Think about it like opening up a zipper and then closing it right back up. We have, I would say, between all the testing we've done, as well as we did testing at the same facility in Boston, and checked for any damage to the skin, any irritation, anything. We've never seen anything negative come in over 12 years. Never had any report of toxicity, never had any skin damage, nothing like that at all. The only thing we know is that we can get it in and it creates a beneficial effect. And I think part of that, as I mentioned, we're kind of a cross between two things. We're not just affecting the skin. We are kind of charging the materials in the formulation itself. And that's probably more likely the case, although I think it's a combination. So we are charging these peptides or these botanicals or whatever they may be, and they stay charged as they go through the skin. And that's why they continue to move deeper while they're working at the deeper dermal levels. But it has nothing to do with necessarily taking anything else negative through the skin.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much, guys. This is huge. It's a game changer. I don't know if you guys realize I had this moment where I was like, am I hearing what I'm hearing right now? And I quickly got a couple people on the call. I got some experts on the call and I was like, this is going to be huge. We want to own this. We want. So I came to Steve and I go, Steve, how do I make this an exclusive contract with you? And he goes, we could work something out. So we're really excited. And I go, how about the name? Because the name is LSW37. That's the name of the technology. And he said, well, you could name it whatever you want. So we have decided to name it the EllieVate for now. If you guys have a better name, please, by all means, submit but for now it's EllieVate, and we're going to go through, the trademarking process. So submit those requests to change the name ASAP if you have a better suggestion. But we are so excited because, again, so many skincare products like collagen, like so many other ones, just sit on the skin. And NAD is a great example. It's about, I don't know, 800 Daltons or so. It's a pretty large molecule that wouldn't necessarily penetrate through the skin, hence why you guys have to inject yourself with that. And however, through this technology, we're now able to deliver some of these ingredients. And we're going to talk more about that. But I do want to touch on another really, really special ingredient that I requested Steve to put in this. Exosomes are huge. Maybe, Brenda, next slide. Exosomes are, I don't know if you've heard of them. If you haven't, you will hear of exosomes in the coming years. And we like to be at the forefront of things. So with this technology, we're already at the forefront. And with the phytocell technology, maybe we could go to the next slide. We could talk about what exosomes are. So can you play
Exosomes
the video?
are a hot topic today.
Is my audio okay?
Yes.
Exosomes
Yes.
are a hot topic today. They already have been discovered in 1918. However, at that time, they were thought to be waste material of the cells, and it was in 1990s when they were discovered that exosomes actually have a function, the cell-to-cell communication, and that they got a lot of interest in medical and other treatments. So what are exosomes? Exosomes are small vesicles with a particle size of about 30 to 200 nanometers. They are formed by a phospholipid membrane, so they look a little bit like liposomes, and they are filled with a message. And this message is based on molecules like an E, R, N, A cytokines, enzymes, growth factors, and other material which will deliver a message to another cell. So what is the function of an exosome? The most important function is the so-called cell-to-cell communication, which works like a letter. One person sends a letter to another person. And for that, of course, it needs an address on the surface of the exosomes. We have a unique exosome product. It is derived from Golgi stem cell extract, and this extract has a dual activity in exosomes. The first exosome activity is that we have identified plant exosomes in our stem cell extract, and these exosomes will activate the epidermis and improve the barrier function. However, there is a second activity, which is based on an activation of the skin's own mesenchymal stem cells, which are going to release exosomes. Skin exosomes activate then the dermis of the skin in the first activity. We have seen that these plant stem cell exosomes will activate the genes which are responsible for barrier function, but they will also activate some growth factors. In the second activity, which is based on the skin's own stem cells, we have seen that our goji berry stem cell extract can activate mesenchymal stem cells. They're going to release more exosomes. These exosomes are going to activate fibroblasts to make more collagen, and this will give a rejuvenation of the dermis.
So huge. Another big technology that we featured in our ingredient deck, this phytocell tech technology. Steve, do you want to touch on that a little bit more? You want to elaborate how it creates collagen and elastin to bring out the youthfulness of skin? Do you want to touch on that? And
Sure,
Beth,
but
I apologize if this feels like a biology class. We're just so excited to talk about, I mean, we're like nerding out here, but I think it's important for you guys to know how much work has gone into this formulation and how amazing it is. It's a great product. So maybe you could touch on that, Steve.
yeah, let me go back and also touch on the fact that there are products out there that use exosomes, but they're derived from animals or humans. When it's a real gray area in the regulatory market about topical exosomes. And even if you can use them, the other issue is that they have to stay refrigerated or frozen. Exosomes are pretty unstable, and you have to use them very quickly, otherwise they kind of die out. On the other hand, these plant-based exosomes, which by the way have been proven to be work across different kingdoms, so it's not just the plant kingdom, they work on animals and humans as well, and mammalian cells. But they're stable. They do not need to be refrigerated, and they're 100% allowable by the FDA. And you guys mentioned about what they do. There are two things they do. They have their own effect on improving collagen for the structure of the skin, elastin, which is what we all lose as we get older, and you lose the literally elasticity of the skin and things start to sag. But the second part of this is it actually triggers your own stem cells to produce more of its own exosomes, which is what's supposed to happen anyway. But again, due to age, diet, environment, etc., we produce less and less of those. So this has a double healing benefit to it, and it's unlike anything else because, as you guys were saying in the video, Exosomes are essentially a set of instructions that tell the body to turn on or turn off, fix things, heal, and regenerate. And this is a very safe and very clinically proven way to do this. You've seen some of the slides here showing the befores and afters on exosomes. And I should mention that the goji exosomes, because goji is, you've probably all heard of this, it's an absolute superfruit. So it has its own benefits anyway. So we're starting with a very, very high-end, very nutrient-dense material and creating the exosomes from that. Some of the studies that they did showed that because of its ability to increase elasticity or elastin, it's great for a sagging jawline. I think you're seeing a picture there, but they've even shown that it can improve or reduce the sagging of breast tissue because it's reinvigorating elasticity. So it can work anywhere in the body, but those are two of the areas they really tested that tend to be an issue for people, especially women, of course.
Do I hear another product coming out soon? Everyone's rubbing it on. No, it's great. So yeah, we have these two images that demonstrate the before and after results of these exosomes. So that's great. So now we have two key ingredients here. We have the technology that drives the material into the dermis. And then we have the phytocell exosomal technology that'll help build collagen, elastin. Also, as you can see, it's improving her jawline. But we have another key star ingredient. Let's go to the next slide. And this ingredient is available through prescription. Maybe you guys have used it in the past, or if you have teenagers that have suffered from acne or whatever it may be, they have used. But tretinoin is the gold standard when it comes to skin health and anti-aging. I mean, if we have any estheticians on this call, they can vouch for this. It's the gold standard. It helps push cells to the surface. And yes, it's derived from vitamin A. It increases cell turnover and stimulates collagen production. So if you want the best of the best anti-aging skincare product that's an active but only available through prescription, tretinoin is your go-to. So we've started at a, it's not the lowest grade, but it's somewhere where it's not overly irritating for individuals. And we have some studies to go along with that. Do you have anything to add to that, Steve, about tretinoin?
Real quick, why this is so important, and this is what you were referring to before about the pharmaceutical side. This is excellent at helping regenerate skin cells and shedding dead skin cells. Why that's so important is that it's not that old that they found that dead skin cells, old zombie-like cells, they call them, especially on the skin, aren't just a problem for how you look, but they literally cause a load onto your body that can reduce your overall health. So anything we can do to get rid of dead, old, aged, useless skin cells actually helps our overall health significantly.
Mhm. Exactly. And another thing with dead skin cells that just sit on your face that aren't sloughed off, well, if you have wrinkles, they get deeper and deeper into those grooves of the wrinkles. So they perpetuate the cycle of the problem of wrinkles on the skin. But it's a great ingredient. It helps fade dark spots from sun damage. And like Steve mentioned, it sloughs off that top layer and pushes new cells from the bottom all the way up to the cell. And also it's been shown to thicken the dermis slightly, which gets thin over as we get older and older. And the cellular turnover cycle when we're born, this happens every, I don't know, few days when we're born. As we get older, it turns into weeks. By the time we're in our 50s and 60s, the cellular turnover cycle happens every 90 days. So just imagine it takes 90 days to push cells from the bottom all the way to the top. What we want to do is speed that cycle up, and tretinoin is the gold standard for doing that, to increase the cellular turnover cycle of the skin. So we're super excited, but again, only available through prescription. We've been able to include it with all these fabulous ingredients. So let's go to the next slide and talk about NAD. You guys are familiar with that. A lot of you are using it in an injectable form, and we've included that in our product. Steve, do you want to touch on NAD a little bit?
Sure. Again, I think a lot of you guys know what this is. This is a major currency for the body that is essential for energy. Of any cells that produce energy, you need NAD, and that certainly goes for skin cells. It happens to be fairly poorly absorbed when you take it orally, and not so great topically either. So when you take the NAD and put it in with our delivery technology, we're literally providing a boost of energy to the skin cells. So everything it's trying to do, like with the tretinoin, we're providing extra benefits so that that turnover, the sloughing off of old cells, the building up of collagen all becomes more efficient.
Exactly. And it helps support the DNA repair mechanism that happens with sun damage and over time. So we've got this fabulous ingredient. You guys know about it. We do the injections, but topically, it's also been shown to help with radiance of the skin, that glow, and also, making the skin look more healthy and youthful. We've included that, but it's a big ingredient, so it doesn't absorb well through the skin, but with the technology, now we can do it. All right. Let's go to the next slide. GHK-Cu. All right. And something I learned is that the vials that we have, the injectable form, we put double the amount that's in the vial in this formula. So not only do we have the technology, but we have double the amount that we've included. Hence why once you guys receive your product, you'll see that it's blue, right? The blue tint is from the GHK-Cu. So maybe you could touch on this, Steve. What is this beautiful?
I saw a question came across that said we need a GHK serum too. So here we go. It's already in here.
It's already
Um,
in there.
Yes, and so you can see everything it does. I think it's important to point out that it works like no other ingredients do, as peptides have their own unique ability to stimulate healing. I would touch on the second one where it says accelerates wound healing and tissue repair. In essence, any damage to the skin, sun, pollution, aging, poor diet, that's all causing wound or damaged tissue. So we're always trying to heal our skin tissue, which while we're trying to improve elastin and collagen and reduce inflammation and increase blood flow. This happens to help with all that. But it's the wound healing that becomes unbelievably essential for reacquiring and helping to maintain a youthful facial tone.
Mhm. I've also read tons of studies on GHK-Cu being used for hair regrowth.
Yeah.
Uh, do you know much about how that mechanism works and how it stimulates hair follicles?
Well, I think a lot of it is because
Angiogenesis, right?
yeah, it's regenerative, and it's also because of the blood flow. That's a lot of it is because a lot of the other things they use for hair it has to do with blood flow. Like when they do PRP, all they're doing is trying to increase blood flow while putting in growth factors into the scalp.
Mhm. All right, let's go to, sorry, I'm trying to monitor some of the questions coming in. Some of the
Yeah.
questions we won't be able to answer, but the doctors will be able to answer. So I'm trying to monitor it. All right, Spolanthal. I love this. And Steve, you could talk about why you chose Spolanthal oil instead of regular Spolanthal and what Spolanthal does, nature's Botox. Tell us about it.
Okay, so Spolanthol, it's been around for a while, but it's not used that much. You can see there on that one line, it's called Nature's Botox. Spolanthol is obviously an all-natural material. It's a botanical. We are using the essential oil, which is the strongest form. It is very good at causing relaxation of tissues. It's an antispasmodic, it's an anti-inflammatory. And so think about why people use Botox. It was to relax the muscles and reduce lines and wrinkles, but obviously there's the side effects with Botox depending on how much you use and how it's used. Spolanthol, obviously not as strong as Botox, but because you can use this every day, there's a cumulative effect. And you're literally helping to relax around the facial muscles, which is reducing fine lines and wrinkles, getting rid of the expression lines around the chin and the cheeks and the eyes. It's improving blood flow, oxygenation. And I can tell you how effective this is. Spolanthol was used years ago to rub on gums for people that had sore gums. It would help numb the gums and reduce pain and bring blood flow in. So this is effective anywhere on the body. When you pair this with the copper peptide, it's an unbelievable 1-2 punch for improving healing, blood flow, reducing discomfort. It does so many things. And again, for whatever reason, it's not very much used in the cosmetic industry at this point, even though we've been using it for 20 years.
And can you tell us the difference between spilanthal oil and regular spilanthal, or why you
So
choose to use the oil?
Sure. So you can get spilanthal powder, which is a straight powder that's ground up of spilanthal, and that has some benefits to it for sure. The extract is generally, when they do an extract, it's a ratio. So you might have 1 part spilanthal to 2 parts of fluid, 3 parts of fluid. So again, good, but nowhere near as strong. The spilanthal oil is very potent, so you don't need as much of it, but it has much more of the healing qualities to it. So the effect is going to be greater and faster than if we were using an extract or the straight powder. And to my understanding, and I think probably from your experience too, Hani, essential oils are unbelievably healing. Most people use the common, lavender, peppermint, etc., and you know how strong they are. But because we're using the spilanthal in its oil form, the effect is much greater and faster.
I love that. And then, like I mentioned before, when you have these grooves that are established over time, you get dead skin cells that, get inside the grooves, for a lack of a better term, and really make these grooves deeper and deeper and deeper. And that's how our wrinkles get worse over time. Whereas this will relax the muscle and it'll push some of the cells up to the surface. And combined with tretinoin, it's just a potent combo. All right, let's go to the next slide. We have niacinamide. So for anyone who's a skincare enthusiast, the ABCs of anti-aging skincare is A, being the tretinoin, vitamin A, B, being niacinamide. It's a derivative of vitamin B, and we'll get to C in the next slides. But Steve, maybe you could share with us what niacinamide is and what it does in skincare.
Well, niacinamide, as you kind of covered it, it is a B vitamin. It is similar to niacin, although niacinamide does not cause the flush that niacin does. So you can see all the things it does. It's incredibly important. It's essential to all life, actually. If you didn't have vitamin B3 in your system, you wouldn't last for long. One of the things it does is it increases ceramide production, which is kind of this oily, waxy substance that helps protect and create the skin barrier. So remember, it's not just what you can get into the skin, it's protecting it from pollutants, and it's also protecting and keeping goodness inside the skin so you don't lose nutrients and or lubrication or hydration through the skin, which is what happens, of course, if you're out in the hot, dry heat or cold, dry air. Another thing this is important for is it definitely helps with inflammation. But what I wanted to touch on too, because a lot of these things do collagen synthesis and they're all synergistic. This is really good for hyperpigmentation, which is an issue as we all get older. We start to form darker skin. It's not really a dangerous thing necessarily, but because aesthetically it's not very pleasing, nobody wants to have hyperpigmentation. So the regular use of niacinamide is one great way to reduce the pigmentation and start to even out the skin tone and the color.
I touched on the A, the B, and you got the C now, vitamin C. And this is MAP. You could talk to us about why you chose the MAP version and its stability. But guys, vitamin C, you probably have seen it. If you go to Sephora, if you guys are lovers of products, over-the-counter products, you'll see there's a lot of vitamin C in skincare because it's important. So Steve, tell us about vitamin C and why you chose the MAP for.
Well, again, you covered a lot of it, which is great. Vitamin C in and of itself, again, essential to all life. Absolutely need it to form collagen. So that's part one. It's a strong antioxidant. So it's protecting against free radical damage, which can both change pigmentation and change the health of the skin. So obviously then you're getting increased collagen synthesis. You're reducing melanin production and reducing hyperpigmentation. You're reducing damage to the skin, which is aging it. It helps to protect the skin against anything from the outside or the inside. Now, why we chose MAP, which is called, it's actually known as magnesium ascorbyl phosphate. So vitamin C is unbelievably good, but the way it acts as an antioxidant is it sacrifices itself to a free radical to protect your own cells, and it becomes oxidized itself. So if you were to put straight vitamin C ascorbic acid into a skincare product within several months, the color is going to change in that skincare product and it's going to oxidize, and your clear to white to light tan serum is going to get darker. Not only does that not look good, but it starts to lose its effect because it's already been oxidized. So magnesium ascorbyl phosphate is a very stable but water-soluble form of vitamin C that maintains its antioxidant capability until you put it on your skin, which is essential for it to work. And that's the main reason we're using it. Actually, the benefit, though, is we talked about how spilanthol is very good for relaxing the skin, relaxing the muscles. The fact that this is a side benefit is magnesium is unbelievably good. As most people know, you require it for relaxation of cells, muscles, tissues, nerves. So you're getting an added benefit of the magnesium kind of relaxing the dermal tissue, working with the spilanthol, the copper, etc., to reduce fine lines and wrinkles in and of itself. So you're getting kind of a 2-for-1 punch here with the MAP.
Ah, well, thank you for that. Thank you for that knowledge. All right. And a great skincare ingredient and deck wouldn't be complete without hyaluronic acid. Hyaluronic acid. And Steve, you included two grades of hyaluronic acid, high molecular weight and low molecular weight. Maybe you could share with everyone why this is important and what hyaluronic acid does.
Sure. Well, so this is kind of like the glue that holds the skin together. So you want to form collagen, you want to repair tissues, but the HA is what fills the interior of the cells that are empty and starts to hydrate. You have it in your joints. So, when people get inflammation in the joint, they're usually having problems with synovial fluid, which is hyaluronic. Um, the reason we're using two weights is because the lower weight will go in and help to do what we mentioned, and HA can hold up to 1,000 times its own weight in water. So it's definitely a hydrating essential for interior skin. But the heavier weight actually lays on the surface of the skin and protects it and helps increase the barrier. Because again, it's not just what you get in, it's what you prevent from getting out. So you're getting, again, both an interior and an exterior benefit from the HA, improving hydration, maintaining hydration, plumping the skin, improving the texture. HA is essential for wound healing. So as you start to hear all these different ingredients and that some of them have similar benefits, but they work through different mechanisms of action. So you're getting a real strong, synergistic, very complementary formulation for really rejuvenating your skin and making you look younger.
Oh, I love that. And hyaluronic acid is one of those ingredients that's really, really large in molecular size. So, it
Yes,
starts at what, 4 or 5,000 Dalton. So it's a big molecule, and people wish they could get it through their skin. Well, now we can. And if I'm not mistaken, Steve, the fillers that are used for, plumping up the lips and so forth, that's hyaluronic acid. So if you've ever gotten fillers done, you're getting some hyaluronic acid injections.
absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. And it's a key ingredient in skincare. Well, that sums up all of our skincare ingredients. And I'll get to questions later on, but we're just so excited. I mean, this is like, these are the MVPs of skincare. There's not much we're missing here. I wanted one more thing, and Steve's like, it's just not going to work, honey. Like, that's enough. You've got between the exosomes and this, like, you've got everything covered. And we're just so excited. I hope you guys know we didn't sacrifice quality. Wow, we didn't, I mean, this is an expensive formulation deck. Like anywhere you go, these are really expensive ingredients that we've included here, and a lot of them do, like the GHK-Cu, the NAD, and the tretinoin are prescription grade formulas. So they're not over the counter or anything. They're prescription grade coming from the compounding pharmacy. And this is being made in a compounding pharmacy. So super excited about that. Now let's talk about some of the side effects and what you guys can expect once you start on the skincare routine. So you will get some mild redness or irritation as your skin adjusts to the active ingredients, like tretinoin. Tretinoin, there's this cycle called the purging cycle. Sometimes it gets worse before it gets better. You may notice some acne. You will notice shedding. That's all good stuff. You want that. That's what you're looking for, the shedding. And some people are like, well, I'm not shedding. Does it mean it's not working? No, don't worry about it. It just means that your skin barrier is a little bit more resilient, and that's okay too. But it is doing its job. It is working. If you are sensitive, I would start with, once every 2-3 days and slowly build up your tolerance. If you see that it's extremely irritating. Or something else I like to do is I like to combine it with my moisturizer. That kind of reduces some of the irritation at nighttime. Um, a temporary increase in dryness or tightness, slight tingling or warmth upon application. Now, I will give you guys a heads up. If you use those dermal rollers, the ones with the pins on it, do not use that while you're on these products because it will it'll severely irritate the skin. So just look out for that. And under the eyes, this is a very thin skin layer right here under the eyes and around the lips. So just be careful. I mean, you want to still use it because that's where you see the signs of aging right away underneath the eyes. But just maybe do it once every 3-4 days to start with until you build up your tolerance. You will slowly see the results. It typically takes anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks to reap the benefits. Stick with it. Okay. A lot of people quit in those early days. They're like, oh, I don't like the peeling. Just stick with it. And a couple weeks, the peeling will go away and fresh new skin will surface. And you'll be so proud of your skin. You won't even want to wear makeup anymore. How to support your skin during this adjustment easily, like I mentioned, ease into it slowly, moisturize generously, be gentle, skip exfoliants. You do not want to exfoliate while you're on this. The tretinoin itself is an exfoliant. Don't pick, don't, puncture, don't use any of those dermal rollers while you're using this. And with this prescription will come access to a dermatologist for whatever period you're on this. So you can message with your dermatologist once you receive your product. You can message back and forth with your dermatologist. If you have any questions, I see some of these questions of, I have sensitivity to this, these are great questions for the doctors. Okay. They can better answer these questions for you. And then finally, and most importantly, while your skin's barrier is being slewed off, make sure, very important, use sunscreen. You have to use sunscreen. Try to do this at nighttime and during the day, apply sunscreen or avoid the sun altogether if you can. If you can avoid it. And if not, make sure that you use at least a minimum of SPF 25. Steve, do you have anything else to add to this?
Not to this, but I did see some questions, if we have time, some comments that I thought we should try to answer, but I know you were waiting on that, but nothing else to add to what you did. No, yours was great.
Okay. Well, no, I'm so proud. First of all, I'm proud of the texture, how this turned out. The texture is phenomenal. It applies like a cream, but then it dissolves like a serum. So I'm just so proud of the texture and this formula. Like it's beautiful and gentle. There are no scents, no dyes. So you'll notice that it's blue, but that's a natural pigment of the GHK-Cu. No phthalates, anything else. We get asked this question a lot, like, is this clean? Well, no one's really defined clean. And some may even say it's a gimmicky term used for marketing. But as far as we know, these ingredients are great. They've been studied and they're potent to deliver results. But anything else, Steve, want to add to that?
Not anything beyond
Okay.
that. No,
All
just
right.
some questions now that I'm anxious to try to answer.
All right. Well, if you can't answer it, it's a great question for the doctor. So don't feel
Okay.
like you have to. But when will pre-orders ship? We are going to try to get them out before the end of the month. We're just waiting for the bottles to arrive. We're getting the bottles air shipped. So as soon as the bottles arrive, you guys know our compounding pharmacies are quick with their turnaround. So you should be expected to receive them before the end of the month. There is a special going on right now, 129, and that locks you for a lifetime. Okay. At 129, you're locked in for the rest of your while you're on this product. It's on a
Long life.
for life. Like get in. If you guys were to get these ingredients individually, I would say you would spend $500 plus at minimum. So this is a steal and a deal. And that's the beauty of working with compounding pharmacies. They can bring and consolidate everything into one product. Let's see, should we still use the GHK-Cu injection? I could take this. I mean, they work synergistically. I mean, they work when you use the injections, it's great for ligament, tissue repair, cellular repair on the inside. This is great for skincare. This is a great product. So you could use them together, or if you don't want to, this product alone can suffice if you're trying to use GHK for skincare and skin health benefits. Steve, please feel free to chime in and add anything to that.
No, that was good. I agree. I think you're creating both an internal and an external benefit that way too.
Yeah, exactly. Can you moisturize immediately after using the product? Like I mentioned, I mix mine with a moisturizer. So yes, absolutely, you can do it. But if not, if just allow it to dry for a couple seconds and then apply your moisturizer. But yes, you can use that. Is this good for cellulite, Steve?
Not that we know of. It might have a slight benefit because if you're increasing blood flow or elasticity, that will always help cellulite, but this is not made to go after cellulite, but eventually.
Eventually. Well, we'll get that breast firming potion coming out soon, I hope. All right, let's see. Is this okay for individuals who are allergic to sulfa drugs to use this product?
So obviously, like you said, this is something you check with your doctor on because we don't give medical advice, but there's nothing in here that should affect that. There is no sulfa material in here. So, take the label, show it to your doctor or your allergist. We've had no negatives on it, but always make sure you check if you do have an allergy.
All right, wonderful. Is this for day or nighttime use? Um, we recommend nighttime because you want to avoid the sun, but you can use it daytime too. And in the event you forgot, just go slow in those early days. I mean, if you want to use it 2 times a day, just go slow and be careful. But once a day is more than enough. 1 to 2 pumps, depending on how much you want to cover. I tested it out. Like, how many pumps can I get out of this? So I was able to get over 140 pumps. So just do the math. If you keep pumping, you'll get 140, pea-sized amounts out of the bottle. So that's good for 1 to 2 pumps a day.
I like nighttime because generally that's when your body heals itself when you're asleep, much less stress and the body goes to work. So if you're giving the benefit of the skin cream for the sleep in your body to do it, I think nighttime is better.
Will this help with those that have eczema or psoriasis?
Again, we can't make a medical statement like that, even though we're using compounding pharmacies. I'd say this, anything that helps your skin hydrate, reduce free radical damage, all those things we talked about is beneficial for overall health of skin. And so I don't know that it would get rid of those conditions, but it certainly will help your skin work better with whatever other treatment you're doing.
Does it contain isopropyl mistrate?
Myristate, no,
Okay.
no, no.
Um,
I saw one question if you're looking.
sure, go
Somebody
for it.
asked as it went through and said, so I don't understand how is this different than electroporation, which came from somebody that knows their stuff, I would think.
Okay. All
Um,
right.
so the answer to that is electroporation can get something of about 1,000 Daltons through the skin. Doesn't mean it will. We've gotten 1,300 kilodaltons through the skin. But I guess the biggest difference is electroporation needs a device. You need to attach something to your skin, create a pulse, and they're intermittent pulses, and be in a doctor's office when they're doing it. You can't do that at home, and it's monitored by the doctor. Ours is self-contained and creates that effect on its own. And I think the other difference is generally when a doctor is using electroporation to push something through the skin, it's maybe 1 or 2 compounds. We can do it with as many compounds as we want.
Okay. Thank you for answering that. How about sensitive skin, rosacea? We had someone that said actually it helped with their rosacea, but sensitive skin, go slow. I mean, everyone's
Yeah,
skin is so different. Try it once a week, once every 3 days, slowly build up to it. But you know your skin better than anyone. And of course, discontinue use if it's
right.
super irritating. You must discontinue, or if you have any allergic reactions to any of the ingredients, discontinue use. This is a 2 month supply. This bottle will last you 2 months. So just think about the steal on the deal you guys are getting, a 2 month supply, and make sure you lock in your price at 120, going on now until the end of the month. Well, we've hit that time. Thank you so much, Steve. Do you have any final words? Anything else to share with our community?
No, just thanks for everybody tuning in and putting up with listening to the chemistry class and everything. But we're always available in case questions come up, comments, suggestions as we move down the road with other things. But this is a great start, and thank you again for tuning in.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Stephen. Guys, one last word. I mean, I've done this for a long time. I could not be more proud of this product. I am so, so proud. Thank you, Steve, for bringing this vision to life and working with us. We appreciate you so much. And you guys in our community, our
Yes.
Beautiful Ellie community, thank you all for your love, your support, tuning in on a weekly basis to educate yourself. We love you all so, so much. See you very soon. Mwah. Have a good night, everyone. Good night.
Bye bye, everybody.
Bye.